The football guys are back together. Let's do football. Today, me and Jared are doing wide receiver rankings from the rookies. We're going to start at number 10 today. So, Jared, I'll throw it over to you with who we have at number 10. Getting started with Amari Rodgers.
Amari Rodgers, go to the Packers, 3rd round. The Packers desperately need wide receivers. Aaron Rodgers, he's been complaining. He needs somebody to help him out. I'm not the biggest fan of Amari Rodgers, but it's another guy to help Rodgers, and he could be the wide receiver 2 there behind Devonta Adams.
Yeah, I think that the reason I have him, I'm a little higher on Amari Rodgers than Jared is because of, I think that Amari Rodgers has the chance to replace that Jordy Nelson kind of role in the slot position for the Packers. I think it's more about, whether or not Aaron Rodgers is there in Green Bay at the quarterback position, that I think he has the ability to be the number 10 guy between all of these wide receivers. That's where I see it, but he's someone that you can get the ball in his hands. He can pick up a lot of yards after the catch. So big thing here is about where he is and where he landed, as opposed to the overall skill. There's some guys that are more skilled than Amari Rodgers is. Let's go to number 9, someone you were a lot higher on than I was, and that's Nico Collins from the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of him pre-draft, but I really like this spot going to the Texans.
Yeah.
The Texans just lost Will Fuller. They've only really got Brandon Cooks. Randall Cobb isn't that great. And this is a pick that if Deshaun Watson is okay, and we don't know what's going on with him, but if he does come back and he plays, he could be the guy right after Brandon Cooks that Deshaun Watson throws to.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Brandon Cooks has been dealing with concussion issues for the last few years now. I don't even know how much longer that guy has in the league, to be honest. And then Kiki QT and Randall Cobb have had injury issues. So Nico Collins is the guy that he's going to be nowhere near DeAndre Hopkins, but he has that ilk in terms of size. He's almost like a, Mike Williams comp, I would say, in terms of he has size that they can go to in the outside, great in the contested catches, someone that he can rely on for some big plays along the sideline. Not the speed, but just more, he can get up and over guys and high point the ball a lot better. And that's what they're missing in their offense in the wide receiver room, right?
Yeah, I agree. 6'4", really big.
Yeah, exactly. Big playmaker. Michigan was not the spot for him that he chose out of college. Did not work out well. QB room there was a disaster. Nobody could get him the ball. Sat out this past season. But let's go from there to number 8. Someone that I think you're a little higher on than I am, Terrace Marshall out of Carolina. I think the return of Christian McCaffrey is going to change the number of wide receiver targets in Carolina. Also, Darnold provides, we don't know if he can live up to Teddy Bridgewater, at least for this season. Joe Brady, fantastic coach, but the amount of targets that went around to wide receivers last year was a serious volume. I think McCaffrey changes that. But again, tell me what you think about Marshall in terms of size. Maybe he's a red zone guy for the Panthers. Is that maybe fair to say?
I think he can take over that Robbie Anderson role. Robbie Anderson was good last year and he put up some good fantasy numbers, but I don't think he's the guy Carolina wants to roll with going forward. I think he can be a good number 2 to DJ Moore. And Sam Darnold, I think he'll be better than Teddy Bridgewater. It's not that he doesn't have to live up to that much to do that, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a chance that Sam Darnold has a fantastic season in Carolina with some better weapons, I would say here. Terrace Marshall might not be the top of the list in terms of weapons in this spot. Number 7. This was number 7. These are the rankings between the two of us. So Amon-Ra St. Brown at number 7. He took a big boost because of my thoughts on him. 7 touchdowns in 6 games this past season in the Pac-12 for USC. He has versatility to play both the slot and outside. Did that both of those things at USC in his time there. Tracks the ball really well. I think he's a great pass catcher and could be a sneaky guy. And it's obviously about the opportunity in Detroit and who's there in front of him. Tyrell Williams, Rashod Bateman. So I think the opportunity upside there is big for Amon-Ra in Detroit.
Yeah, it's definitely not a very crowded wide receiver room. Although he only ran a 4.61 40, which is a very slow time, especially for this class. And they're not even being a combine; it was just pro day times.
Yeah,
I wasn't that high on him as a prospect either. And Jared Goff, I really don't like him as a quarterback. So he's kind of like the Michael Carter of wide receivers for me. There's not really much competition, but I don't think he's going to see the the targets.
Right. I do agree. Like he's not the fastest. Definitely not the fastest wide receiver amongst his group. Might be the slowest, but I do think he's a great route runner. He could be a poor man's Keenan Allen to me for the Detroit Lions. A great route runner. Number 6, we've got Elijah Moore in New York. I'm going to throw it over to you. I have a few things on Elijah Moore, but I think you're probably a bit more on him than I am. So we'll start with you, Jared.
Yeah, Elijah Moore, he was a guy who consistently improved at Ole Miss. In his final season, at 20 years old, he put up 86 receptions, 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns. This is a guy who is going to play the slot in New York. I think he's going to immediately take it over from Jamison Crowder. And if Zach Wilson can live up to the hype, which I hope he does, he should be in line for a pretty sizable role in year 1.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have the chance right in rookie camp to work with Zach Wilson. So that could give him a one-up on a guy like Jamison Crowder for sure. There is competition. He played a lot on the outside at Ole Miss, but he does a good job of kind of sitting in the holes in the zone, especially when the play breaks down. I don't see him excelling too much in press man. He only had 38 snaps in 2020 against press man. That's a concern for me, but only 10 drops and 200 catchable targets at Ole Miss. So that's a good number there. He's reliable, not very many drops. So could
very high catch rate too.
Yeah, could sneak into a bigger role if he gets some good rapport going with Zach Wilson before the start of the season. So sneaky guy, but again, I don't know. Mims was somebody that they spent some capital on. Corey Davis they paid, so Elijah Moore's an interesting piece for the Jets as well. So let's go to number 5. Number 5, we've got Rondale Moore. For me, Rondale Moore hasn't played a full season since 2018, opted out in 2020 and 2019, dealt with injuries. He went for nearly 1,300 yards in that 2018 season. That's a very, very impressive in the Big Ten at Purdue. We're in a 4.29 40. That he's got some crazy good speed, and 71% of his yards came after the catch at Purdue. So somebody get the ball in his hands, and he's able to pick up some yards after the catch and be a big guy that they can look to in some gadget plays. And I think Cliff Kingsbury it'll be interesting how he decides to use him.
Yeah, Rondale is easily the best athlete in this class.
Yeah,
his breakout age 18.2, which is the 99th percentile. So very, very early he broke out. And as we saw in his freshman year, he put up monster numbers there. And then it's dipped off since with injuries and COVID. But the main issue I see for Rondale Moore is his height. 5'7". You don't see very many wide receivers succeed in the league at that height. Although going to a team like the Cardinals, it's probably one of the best options for him. He's probably going to play the slot, and they'll be very creative with him. Cliff Kingsbury knows what he's doing. He might even take some carries at running back.
Yeah, exactly. I think they'll be creative in the ways that they use him because, like you said, he's undersized, right? But that speed is just it's ridiculous. And like he broke out as a freshman, so you could have seen 1,600 yards from him in his junior year or sophomore year if he was on the field. So he's really interesting and has some high upside with the speed. Number 4, we have is in the rookie wide receiver rankings is Jaylen Waddle. I'll start with you, Jared. I have a few things, but I think that it's an interesting room in terms of, I think there's a comparison between Fuller and Waddle, right?
Yeah, they're pretty similar players. I think Fuller's going to get that outside role, and they're going to move Jaylen Waddle into the slot, which might actually be a benefit to him. As we saw with Tua, once he came in, he definitely loved throwing the ball in shorter ranges. He didn't like throwing it deep as much.
Yeah.
And Lynn Bowden, he came in for 5 games with Tua. In those 5 games, he had 5.4 receptions per game, 7 targets, 10.1 PPR points. Not that great, but obviously Jaylen Waddle is a much better player than Lynn Bowden. So I think he can do a lot better than Bowden did.
Yeah, the rapport there with Tua is going to be very interesting because I think, Tua had a really poor rookie season with the Dolphins. I think he just wasn't committed to some of his throws and his reads. He didn't get the ball out of his hands quick enough. Just wasn't committed. It seemed like in the pass game. So I think having a guy that he's worked with in the past could be really beneficial. Especially like you said, he's going to be available in the short yardage routes as opposed to the balls over the top. But let me ask you quickly: do you see his trajectory being over Judy and Ruggs?
I think he's definitely a lot better than Ruggs as a prospect. Judy, not sure. I think Judy in the long run, I would definitely take over Waddle.
There we go.
But Waddle is somebody who, like Parker and Fuller, are definitely going to be the top 2 target getters this year, I believe. But he's still going to make plays, and he will get his stuff.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I agree with you there. That's why I wanted to ask you. So number 3, this is where we had a breaking point between the two of us and needed a third party to break it. But number 3, we got Devonta Smith. This might come as a surprise to see Smith and Waddle being at 3 and 4. I'm tired of people. I think it's a lazy take to talk about his weight. I mean, he was one of the most productive wide receivers we've ever seen at the college level. Over 1,800 yards last season as the Heisman Trophy winner. That was more than Jamar Chase at LSU with Joe Burrow the year prior, and he played one less game. Devonta Smith is not going to be competing with, I don't think Jalen Reagor is going to provide much of anything in terms of competition to him. Same with Travis Fulgham. I think the sky's the limit for Devonta Smith in Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts, I think there's a concern there of what the full-on capability is there, but I'm excited about Devonta Smith.
Yeah, he's probably going to play the slot there. I had him at wide receiver 4 just because of the weight, even though you don't think that's going to be an issue. To me, I mean, their outliers do happen, but we've never seen anyone this small do well in the league. So it's something that you can't just look past.
Yeah.
So I'm a little hesitant on him. He could do it, but will he? I think that significantly lowers his odds of succeeding.
Yeah, the course of history is against him. We haven't seen guys at this kind of BMI and whatnot be as successful in the league. So it's interesting. But let's go to number 2. I'm going to let Jared handle this because he's got Rashod Bateman as his number 2. I wasn't as big on Rashod Bateman, but definitely some opportunity there in Baltimore. So let's hear it.
Besides Jamar Chase, Rashod Bateman is just clearly the most complete wide receiver in this class. 6 foot, 190, a lot bigger than the other 2 guys from Alabama. Breakout age of 18.8, which is 94th percentile. College dominator, 43.7%. He absolutely dominated at Minnesota. They're not a very good school, but still, he played very well there. And he's just such a good route runner. I have him comped to Stephon Diggs, and I think he's got Stephon Diggs' upside. Now, Baltimore people have thought it's not the best room for wide receivers because of Lamar, but I think Lamar is a very good pass. He can throw the ball, and definitely better than Hurts or Tua would be anyway. So
yeah.
He's got the opportunity there to be the wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I could see him be a wide receiver 1. I'm just worried about, and I do agree that I think he's going to be a very reliable guy for Lamar Jackson in short yardage situations because of his route running, because of, as well, he's very good in contested situations too. He doesn't really have the speed that I'd like to see. It's just about how things develop in the room because I don't think that Marquise Brown is a better wide receiver. I don't think Sammy Watkins is. I do like Tylan Wallace, who they signed, but didn't spend a lot of draft capital in. So it's just about him beating out those guys for the volume and because I think he'll be a guy that's not relied on for the deep play. It's going to be more in the short yardage situation. So I still think Rashod Bateman can be a very relevant fantasy wide receiver this season as well. Number 1, I mean, the best wide receiver in this class. I think he's on another level. It's Jamar Chase in Cincinnati. The opportunity is there will be the immediate wide receiver 1 with the Cincinnati Bengals this season. The rapport he has with Joe Burrow, he can do just about anything in the route tree and contested wise. So I don't think we're going to disagree in the fact that Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in this class, and fantasy upside is through the roof.
Yeah, there's not really much else to add there. He's everybody's wide receiver 1. He's going to be good. If Jamar Jefferson is as good as he is in year 1, why not Jamar Chase too? He was even better in college, so he's going to be really good with Burrow, and I'd be shocked to see him not succeed in this league.
Yeah, the size, weight, everything, it's there. That is our top 10 rookie wide receivers heading into the 2021 season. Very, very excited to see how these guys play out, especially in our lower 10. There's some high upside there, so thank you for tuning in, and as always, we keep doing football.